Hello and a very good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining on this call today. I am Chirag Joshi, the Chief Growth Officer at Samco Mutual Fund. And today on this call on Samco Active Momentum Fund's first unit holder call post the NFO, I have with me Mr. Viraj Gandhi, who is the CEO of Samco Mutual Fund, Mr. Paras Matalia, Fund Manager for Samco Active Momentum Fund. And on this call, we are going to quickly discuss what we promised in the NFO roadshows and what we've delivered in the scheme. Paras, over to you. Without wasting any time, you can take us through the fund strategy and the deployment.
Thank you, Chirag, and thank you everyone for joining in today. I think we've selected a very good date. It is 5th September, it is Teachers' Day, and we should pay our respects to the greatest teacher here, which is the Mr. Market. So happy Teachers' Day to all of you all, and thank you for attending this call. We'll very shortly cover the strategy that we discussed during our roadshows. We'll then talk about the current portfolio, how the portfolio has been built. And third, how the system works and why do we trust the system. So without wasting any time, I'll start. So this is our first unit holder meeting with our distributors where we are going to share all of these things just as discussed. So this is a standard disclaimer. We'll be taking few stock examples, few names. Those examples have to be construed as illustrations and not recommendations. We'll not be able to talk about fund performance as SEBI does not allow us to talk about performance for first 6 months. And again, the stock names that we'll take are only and only for illustration purposes. So a brief NFO update, we garnered about 410 crores in NFO. Number of applicants in the NFO were about 26,000. And the number of partners that contributed to us was 1,963. Thank you all for this number that you have, helped us to reach, you have helped us to achieve. And the biggest credit goes to all of you all. So let's have a very, very quick recap on the strategy, what the strategy is, what did we discuss during the roadshow. The strategy is very, very simple that we will follow a momentum strategy, which simply means to invest in stocks that are going up and to go out from stocks that are not going up or are going down. So this entire strategy is executed by our intelligent momentum seeking algorithm that we have created in-house. It has 3 parts. The first part is a signal generating engine, which gives us buy and sell signals based on the entry exit criteria that we've set in the algorithm. Second is one of the most important part of the algorithm, which is position sizing and risk management. It assigns an ideal weight to each and every buy signal generated in the first engine by using free float market cap, by using the liquidity in the stock, by using the momentums or the size of the opportunity in the stock. If the stock is in a good, very high momentum, then a bigger weight will be assigned. And if the stock is not in momentum, a lower weight would be assigned. So a lot of factors go into the second engine to determine what is the ideal weight of a stock in the portfolio. The third is a portfolio management engine, which overall has 2 functions to do. First is to look at what should be the current portfolio look like. It will give us what all signals have been taken in at what weights. And second, looking at the broader markets, whether the markets are very high, if the markets are, are correcting a bit, the momentum in the market is fizzling out, then to lower the equity exposure of the portfolio by a small proportion and, protect the downside. So the data points that this algorithm uses is a lot of data points that it uses. First, it primarily uses price and volume action. Second, it tracks money flows, where the money is flowing to, where the money is flowing out from. It tracks this by price and volume. It tracks this by the bulk deal, block deal data. It tracks this by promoter buying and selling. It also looks at a lot of FNO, open interest data, general qualitative data, impact cost data. So if you see, a lot of our stocks in the portfolio are small cap, micro cap, and these stocks have also been analyzed for impact cost. It has also been analyzed for liquidity. Next is how do we select the stocks? So it's a 5 to 6 step process. First, the stock needs to demonstrate a start of an uptrend. Second, there has to be a confirmation signal. There are a lot of times when some kind of momentum is built and then it is fizzled out without that confirmation. So confirmation is important. Third is that the stock should not be in a secular downtrend. A lot of time what happens is then if the primary trend of the stock is downwards, there is a small uptick in the stock, we enter the stock, and then the primary trend, which is downside trend, continues. Fourth is that it should not be in an illiquid or a circuit to circuit stock where you might be able to enter very easily, but when the time comes to exit, you'll not be probably exit at an efficient price. Fifth is a basic quality check where we are trying to check if the quality of the stock is not good. If there is a chance, even a small chance that we might be stuck with the stock, then it would be removed from the universe. And last, very, very, very important is that whenever a stock has already moved up a lot, there is not a lot of space for the stock price to go up further. For example, say there is a large cap stock which has already gone up by 3x, 4x in last 1.5 years. Then the statistics say that there is a very, very less room for the stock price to move up from here for large cap stock. So it depends on what kind of stock we are talking about. Now let's talk about the execution, where what we promised in the NFO and what we are doing right now. It's been about 2 months. This is an extract from the fact sheet of our portfolio. We are invested about 70.09% in equity, and we are holding 29.91% cash. So if you look at the market cap allocation, as we had told that, will not be having any biases toward any kind of market cap. Wherever we find momentum, we'll be investing there. So if you see currently, since last 4 months, there is a very, very high momentum in micro cap, small cap, mid cap stocks, which is very much reflected in our portfolio, where we are holding 28% small cap, 26% micro cap, 9% mid cap, and just 7% large cap. So the algorithm has been efficiently able to capture momentum where it is happening. If you look at the industry allocation or sector allocation of our fund, we have about 12% in finance, we have about 11% in pharma, about 8.5% in industrial products, about 5% in construction, and about 4% in entertainment. So if you see, the portfolio is very well diversified. There is no concentration in a single stock, single sector, single market cap classification. Wherever the momentum is, the portfolio follows. The top 10 holdings are such. Man Infra is 4.93%, IDFC is 4.5%, Ajanta Pharma is about 4%, Credit Access Grameen is about 4%. Again, if you see, even the top 10 holdings come to about 36% of our portfolio, which is again a very well diversified portfolio that we've created. So now let's talk about, how the system works. Why should we trust the system, and how it has helped us to create a good portfolio. So it helps us discover hidden gems. It helps us keep human biases out of the process. It also takes care of liquidity, even though a good chunk of our portfolio is in small and micro cap stocks. And it also efficiently captures the momentum that, our primary goal is. Talking about hidden gems, we have 4 companies where we are the only mutual fund scheme to hold. So that is Sarda Energy, second is Datamatics, third is Tips Industries, and fourth is Parag Milk Foods. In all these 4 companies, we are currently the only MF2 hold in such names, where no other mutual fund is having holding, no other active mutual fund is having holding in these companies. If you look at, we had given an example of Balaji Amines, Alkyl Amines during our roadshow, where we said that the analyst coverage was very less or zero in case of Balaji Amines. Currently, similar is the case. If you see, these are the companies where the analyst coverage is either zero or is only covered by one analyst. So Datamatics, Elecon Engineering, FDC, ICRA, IDFC, no analyst has been covering these companies. Even despite that, we have been able to take these companies in our portfolio because of our momentum seeking algorithm. Now let's look at what kind of biases we can have. So this is an example of Datamatics. If you calculate its return from the bottom of COVID, the stock has gone up by almost 22.5 times. 22.5 times in just about 3.5 years, which is huge return. And after that, we are getting a buy call. If I had to apply my bias or someone else had to apply their bias, they would think that, oh, the stock has already moved up by a lot. Let's not, take an entry in the stock. Let's wait. Let's wait and watch. But because it is system driven, because system helps us in investing, we are able to invest in this stock even at such prices. If you look at Cochin Shipyard, we got a buy signal. You can see on the screen, the signal came after the price, failed an all-time high breakout. You can clearly see that the stock gave a breakout above its all-time high price, and then it came back down. Now, if I had applied my bias, or if anyone had applied their biases saying that it is an all-time high breakout failure, we should not invest in this stock, or we should keep out of this stock, then they probably would have made a loss, because Cochin Shipyard is again one of the biggest contributors to our fund. The price is already up by 36% as of yesterday from our buy signal price. Another example is Tips Industries. You can see that the stock has doubled in less than 4 months, and after that we've got a buy signal in the stock. And again, it is a similar case where people would have thought, let's not enter into this stock. It has already gone up by twice in a very, very short period of time. But then again, it is almost up by 10-11% since our buy signal price till 4th of September. So talking about liquidity, the intelligent algorithm also takes care of the liquidity. The entire portfolio can be liquidated within just 3 days. So that's how the liquidity part is also taken care of, even though a big chunk of our portfolio is in small and mid cap stocks. So that was a very, very short, update on how we are doing and how, we are executing the strategy, and how we had told you that what we would do. And I hope that we are keeping true to what we had discussed during our NFO roadshow. So if you have any questions, we'll be more than happy to take. We have received a few questions. I think Chirag will be taking up those questions with us.
Thank you so much, Paras. This was very interesting for me to see the charts where stocks have already run up, and I would have personally probably never thought of putting my money in, but the charts were astonishing. So yes, we have few questions submitted to the Google form link that the team had submitted. So I would take them up one by one. But before that, I think we have a lot of questions in the Q&A section. Viraj, if you could take this question up, that when will we are looking to reopen the fund for subscription?
So nothing has been decided as yet, but we will come back to you once we are finalized on that particular line. Nothing else right now.
A follow-up question, Paras. How have you made sure that the drawdown is protected? I know it is covered in the strategy, but just a recall would help.
So generally what happens when the markets fall or markets lose momentum, we'll shift to cash and we'll do arbitrage if necessary. So obviously it is a kind of a reactive strategy where the markets fall a bit and then we go and protect our downside. So even though we are a big chunk of our investment is in small cap and micro cap, but then again our stop losses and our exit strategies are there. Our system will help us to have a timely exit.
Yes. I have a very interesting question from Mr. Hitesh. The fund has good amount of micro cap exposure. Now, what if there are changes like in management and etc.? Will it impact the portfolio or the stocks that you have? This is a very interesting question, because you've been telling us that there's no biases. So if you could just quickly tell us how the system,
So
I'll take that. So in this particular strategy, price is everything. Whatever price will show us, we will decide according to the price and not according to the fundamental. We believe in this strategy, fundamentals will be covered in the price movement. So whether the management changes is good for the company or bad for the company, that price will show. And because of that price movement, our algo will throw up that name and we will react as per the algorithm, not according to the human bias. The question is important if I'm doing a fundamental pick on the company based on the fundamentals of the company. But in this particular system, it is not relevant. So you don't have to worry. Let the price decide what the management is all about. And we will react to the price and nothing else.
Okay. Thank you so much, Viraj. So, Viraj, just to sum up and a follow-up question. So, irrespective of what happens in the management or in the industry or the particular sector, the price will show a signal, and our call will be purely based on what is there on the charts, on the price.
A simple one-word answer is yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll move on to the next question. A lot of questions of reinvestment. We've already covered that. Paras, a gentleman called Pankaj Parmar wants to just have a look at the list of stocks that you've already invested. If you could just scroll back to the slide where you had shown us the stocks.
This is for the information to all the investors. This fact sheet is available on our website, and you will be able to download it from most of the other websites where they upload the fact sheet. So this is also available on sancomf.com. You can go and download this particular fact sheet, and you will be able to see all the names with all the details there.
Mr. Shashi has a question that do we use super trend as a strategy for buy and sell? If Viraj or Paras, anyone of you could take this up.
So no, we don't consider super trend. So as Viraj already said that this strategy is completely price driven strategy. So there are a lot of super trends in industries in different sectors, but then if it is reflected in the price, it will form part of the portfolio and not otherwise. It will not form part of the portfolio.
Mr. Raji wants to know that have you taken any short calls? Have we taken any?
No, we are not allowed to take short calls.
Okay.
I would like to add to that, Rajivji, just to understand one thing, the things that we are not buying is the things that we are ignoring.
So, okay. Mr. Dilip Ora wants to know that micro and small cap universe has gone up like almost 7 times in the last 6 months. Do you think that this segment is overvalued, or if that could be a hindrance?
So
again, so Paras, you want to take it or I'll take it?
Yeah, you take it, no issues.
So again, sir, thank you very much for this question. We are not looking on the fundamental side of it or the valuation side of it. If the price movement persists and if my algo tells me that there is still more steam left in it, then we will get a buy call. If my algo is not giving me the buy signal, we will not buy it. And that is as simple as how Paras was explaining how we are following the system. Now, this system is designed completely driven by price. I'm putting my neck out and telling you one more time that this is completely price driven system. This is not a fundamental driven system. So it is not going to look whether it is looking expensive or whether it is going to look cheap. What it is going to look is whether on my momentum score it is going up or not. If it is going up on the momentum score, it will give me a buy signal. If it is not going up on the momentum score, it will not give me a buy signal. So if the market is overheated, whether the market can go up further or not, that's for a lot of fundamental guru to come and answer. Yes, we also are understanding all bit of the concerns that you people are raising at this moment of time. But the system is designed in such a way that we will be able to protect our downside when the U-turn comes. And that's why, if you remember, Paras showed you a slide on the liquidity part of the portfolio. This is very key to understand the risk parameter, this particular slide. This was particularly kept in the presentation to make you understand the risk that this particular portfolio holds over a period of time. So even if we get a sell signal, we want to see within how much time we will be able to exit that particular position. So I'm very happy to announce that majority of my position can be liquidated in one day itself. So that is the risk parameter that one need to understand when you are playing the momentum strategy and nothing else.
Thank you, Viraj.
I also remember market can remain expensive for a longer period of time, the way it has remained cheaper also for a longer period of time. And nobody can judge that, whether at what range it will stop or what range it will take a U-turn. So what is more important is to take out that human bias, whether it is looking expensive or cheaper to me at this point of time, and follow the system that we have here to build.
Got it. Thank you so much, Viraj. User has a question and I would like to take it up. So I'll just say the question for the audience. He wants to know whether we've been able to analyze which strategy do we use, active or passive momentum. So user, it's all I can say that all out loud to you that we are India's first active momentum fund. And during our roadshows and presentations, still, if you go on the scheme page or the website, you can find out that the algorithm or the strategy that the fund investment team has built is purely and follows an active momentum strategy. We are not a passive momentum index following scheme. So yes, we are an active momentum strategy scheme. Mr. Rajiv, your sector on biases, I think Viraj has already answered that it's based on price. The only bias we have is the stock shows good momentum score, and that's the only bias that the portfolio has. But so this question has been already answered. Mr. Pankaj, sorry, we're not allowed to do that as per SEBI regulations. Paras already mentioned that at the start of the presentation. Okay. One follow-up question by Mr. Sanjay Fin Doctor. He wants to know that, how confident are you that because the system has generated an indication or a buy signal, that it can further run up from the price that, it has already given you. So maybe you can, Paras, quickly show up the chart once again. And
So I would like to add one point before Paras shows you the chart. We are not confident that after a buy signal, definitely the price will go up from there. What we are confident is once the buy signal comes, and if the momentum persists, we'll stay invested into it. But if the momentum is lost at any point of time, it can be immediate also. And if my system gives me that signal, we will exit also very fast. So there is no guarantee that once the signal has been generated, that the price is going to go up further from there. But what we are trying to do is once the signal is been generated, we follow the signal. And if the momentum is lost somewhere immediately or afterwards, the signal will also come for exiting that particular counter. And that's why we are providing you with the liquidity status of the fund. Paras, over to you.
And talking about confidence, we've worked on this algorithm, we've worked on the system for quite some time. We've tested it day in, day out. We've also, run in some few accounts, and we've seen that the system works far, far better than a human is able to do when it comes to momentum, when it comes to price, to continuously track price movements of about 750, 760 stocks, to continuously look at n number of variables that we have configured in the algo. I think, and most importantly, even though if we are able to do all this manually, most importantly, we are not able to keep the biases out. We are not able to keep the emotions out. Where I think, as all of us, we are built that we have to buy cheap and sell, expensive. But this strategy is something very different. This strategy goes against our own intuition. And I think that is why it is extremely important that we trust the system, we follow the system. And to do it manually would probably, take out the consistency out of the process, which would, generally end up with bad results. So I think that is why, especially for this strategy, following the system is very, very, very important.
Okay. I'll take a lot of questions. To all the audiences, I would request that there are certain questions that we've covered as a part of our strategy presentations during roadshows. This might also deviate the purpose of the call. However, I would still take up few questions. Paras, if you could just highlight, how will you use arbitrage? Point number one. Point number two is, let's say if there's a crash in micro cap or small cap, how will again you use arbitrage to manage or protect your downside? If you could just quickly in 30 seconds highlight how arbitrage is being used in this strategy.
So the Samco Active Momentum Fund is a thematic fund, and a thematic fund is mandated to have 80% equity exposure post I think 90 working days. So beyond that, if there is a crash in the markets where we are not finding momentum anywhere else, and the equity the equity exposure goes beyond below 80%, then what we'll do, we'll keep the net equity exposure below 80%, and for that balance portion, we'll go and arbitrage. So we'll invest in high momentum stocks of large cap Nifty 200, which are basically FNO stocks, and sell its futures to create a net equity exposure, that is recommended by the system. So that is how, during crashes or during bad markets, will shift from, equities to a kind of an arbitrage kind of a position.
Okay. Paras, a follow-up question. Let's say if I have an SIP in Samco Active Momentum Fund, and this is a period of anti-momentum where you are using arbitrage, will the returns of the scheme, or will the momentum period cover up for the duration that I've been investing through an SIP? If you could just highlight the part that you covered in the strategy presentation during NFOs.
So what we have observed from our algos history and from what we've experienced, we see that generally when there is a period of anti-momentum, so let's take a live example of last 2-3 years. Since last 2.5 years, there was no momentum. In March and April, market-wide momentum came. Before that, there was momentum in few pockets like PSU, defense, and a few manufacturing entities. But there was the market-wide momentum was completely missing, which came from March end, to be precise, around 28th, 29th March. If you see in last just 4 months, the returns for even the small cap, micro cap index have been phenomenal, where the micro cap index has gone up by almost 53-54% in a very, very short period of time. So even though during those periods of anti-momentum or no momentum in the markets, your SIP is just accumulating units. And when the markets come into the momentum, your SIP units that have been accumulated would provide really good returns. So obviously during that period of anti-momentum, which could last for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you'll have to be patient, and you'll not be able to time when the momentum will come in the market. So it's better to be patient and sit tightly and hold your units tightly.
Viraj, I have a question for you that you can take us on behalf of the investment team. If the system and the algorithm is deciding and generating signals, then what is the role of the fund manager in this particular scheme? It's a rhetorical question. I'm sure you don't want to highlight who built the system in the first place, but yeah.
No, so it's a good question. So a lot of people have asked us this question during the roadshows also. The primary role of the investment team is to keep building the system stronger and stronger. So what is more important is human beings have made the computers, and the computers are giving phenomenal output to all of us. But does the role of human being behind and front of the computer is over? The answer is no. The role of that particular human being is to keep improving the software and the hardware. So similarly, the role of the fund management team, including Paras and myself over here, is to keep improving this system of momentum. And that's why we are presenting to you over here. Why are we presenting it to you is that we are working day in and day out to make sure that this 35 and this 59 names, are we able to capture them on time or not? Did the system provide us that particular signal or not? And if not, we will keep improving on it. And we keep improving on every trade that we do, so that we know whether we are closer to the system that we have ourselves made, or we are away from that particular system. And that is why it is very, very important to somebody to monitor the system and also to keep improving on that. And that is the role of the fund management team. But during the execution phase, we want our human biases to be out. Because जब market crash होगा ना सर, जब market crash होगा तब कोई bias काम में नहीं आएगा. तब system बोलेगा वही करना better होगा. In a good market, it is very easy to get swayed away. But in a bad market, discipline is the only thing that can protect us and that can save us. And that discipline will come from the system. But the discipline is inbuilt in the system through the human intelligence of the fund management team.
Thank you, Viraj. I think, Viraj, we should do a separate call on Active Momentum Fund strategy before it reopens. I can see a lot of questions that are a part of the strategy presentation on what will we do during anti-momentum, what will you do if the price after buying, or how will we detect a fake momentum, how will we detect operator-driven stocks. So I think this is a part of, to all the audience, is a part of the strategy presentation. And you've taken up your request, and we would schedule a strategy call on understanding how does Samco Active Momentum Fund strategy work, and before reopening. Again, if you could, like VG said, that still we have it, the investment team does not have a date when we are reopening for subscriptions. A lot of people who have entered in late are asking the same question again. So, Viraj, if you could quickly once again tell the audience on when are we opening for an SIP or a lump sum investment?
So right now, I don't have this answer with me, but according to my understanding, as on today, looking at the indicators that we have in the market, looking at the strategy that we have built around it, we are not opening up anytime sooner right now. Nothing in September for sure. I can put my neck out and tell you nothing till October also for sure. So after that, we'll decide what we are supposed to do. But right now, let us focus on the balance 30%, which is still remaining on cash. The first 70%, which is already invested. So let us focus there. Let us work. Let us allow us to do what we are supposed to do with the 410 crores, which you have, interested us with. And then we'll come back to you for reopening once we are very clear as to at what levels and when we are ready to reopen about it. So right now, there are no such plans as on today. Right now, the only focus is the 410 crores that we have in our hand as on today.
Thank you so much, Viraj. I think this sums up all the relevant questions that we had for the Samco Active Momentum Fund deployment call. There are a lot of strategy specific questions that we promise we'll do another call separately to discuss the Samco Active Momentum Fund strategy. For more information, you can visit the Samco MF website, go to the schemes page, and you can download the fact sheet to understand how much is invested, the portfolio, how much is cash, and other details in the fact sheet. Once again, on behalf of the whole Samco Mutual Fund team, I would like to thank all of you on taking out time today and attending this call with us. Thank you so much for giving us your trust and belief. Thank you. Thank you, and thank you, Viraj.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.